If every single person plays Sea of Thieves on Game Pass, and we don't sell a single copy, are you kinda cool with that? Spencer was categorical. Absolutely. It seems this is no longer the case for Xbox and Microsoft in 2024. Tango Gameworks was one of Xbox's most consistent studios. Every game they released received positive reviews, was well liked by fans, and sold moderately well. Hi-Fi Rush was a legitimate Game of the Year contender for many that played it, and after Shinji Mikami left the studio, showed that Tango could go in fresh new directions and still make it work. Back in 2023, Vice President of Xbox Games Marketing, Aaron Greenberg, pushed back on reporting from Jeff Grubb and Jez Corden that the game didn't meet the expectations of Microsoft and Xbox, indicating Xbox was very happy with its reception, sales, and player count. Cut to May 7th, 2024, Tango Gameworks was shut down seemingly out of nowhere alongside Arcane Austin, the developers of 2017's critically acclaimed Prey and the not-so-acclaimed Redfall. The whiplash I get from covering Xbox's first-party decisions is like dealing with the weather in Kansas City. Xbox's stated goal with Game Pass is to have a new game from their first-party studios enter the library every quarter. This interview is from 2021, and in 2024, Xbox has yet to achieve this goal. They've been buying studios for over half a decade, and still have not achieved this milestone, with no major first-party release in the first quarter of 2024. So what is the strategy now for Xbox? I honestly have no fucking idea. The hope with Xbox Game Pass was that major releases would subsidize the more niche creator-driven games like Pentiment, Bleeding Edge, Minecraft Legends, and Hi-Fi Rush. These would help drive subscribers to Game Pass on a more consistent basis, and didn't need to be a tentpole release that sold millions of copies to be considered successful. Phil Spencer has gone on record multiple times talking about creators being able to make what they want under the Xbox brand.
But one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. When a team like Rare wants to do Sea of Thieves, when a team like Obsidian wants to do Grounded, when Tango wants to go do Hi-Fi, when everybody probably thought they were doing Evil Within 3, I want to give the teams the creative platform to go and push their ability, push their aspirations.
Going back to the quote at the start of this video, the idea was that sales didn't matter as much if you could get people in the Game Pass. But then Microsoft went and spent $70 billion on Activision, and now suddenly the promise of Game Pass doesn't seem so bright anymore. Hi-Fi Rush was a shot in the arm for Xbox, a new IP from literally out of nowhere that people adored, and showed that they were willing to let their studios take a risk and do their thing. It was the best reception to a first-party Xbox game I'd seen in years. And now Tango Gameworks is closed, and for what benefit? To balance the checkbook for the shareholders? To make more resources available to Call of Duty? Is Xbox giving up on developing games in Japan yet again and just sticking to third-party deals? Make it make sense, Microsoft. Make it make sense why you just shut down one of your most consistent studios who put out well-liked games by both critics and players, sold moderately well, and gave the brand a huge PR boost. Nobody, not even your own developers, seem to know what success means for their games under the Xbox brand. Is it sales? Is it bringing people to Game Pass? Is it critical reception? Is it all of those things? Because yet again, going back to that quote, it doesn't seem like even you know what you're looking for at this point. Xbox Game Pass has always sounded good in concept. It is the best value in gaming for the customer. I've been a big supporter of this service because it was allowing smaller developers to be paid upfront for their projects, helping to secure their future projects. Unfortunately, Game Pass isn't growing fast enough to continue supporting those types of deals. From the sounds of it, developers, even some of the biggest names in the indie scene like Red Hook, the team behind Darkest Dungeon, are indicating those deals have largely dried up. Was it ever going to be sustainable? No, probably not without impossible to reach subscriber numbers. Critics of Game Pass have long said it's terrible for the industry, but many smaller studios may have not survived to make their next game without it. Microsoft wants Game Pass to be an infinitely growing revenue stream, but as the entertainment industry has already discovered, it's not really sustainable. Monthly prices keep rising, the amount of shows we're getting are slowing down, and a bunch of these subscription services are consolidating now after spending far too much money too quickly. Not to mention that games take far longer to make than TV shows, and so the only way you can sustain the subscriber base is by continuing to release exciting new games into the service. But unfortunately, as exciting as they are for us, niche games aren't going to drive the volume needed to really blow Game Pass up. At this point, I'm not even sure if Call of Duty will do it either. People that play Call of Duty year to year are the types of people that buy Call of Duty and maybe a sports game, or if Rockstar happens to release something, and that's their gaming purchases for the year. Why would they bother subscribing to a service they're hardly going to use for one game a year? Microsoft buying up Activision also sounded good in concept too. Not because of consolidation reasons, but getting those development teams out from the thumb of Bobby Kotick and Activision's terrible management board. In hindsight, it was wishful thinking that maybe under Xbox, the talented developers who toil away on Call of Duty year after year will get to work on some fresh new ideas on IP. But now, with the huge acquisition behind us, it's clear that Xbox needs to start seeing a return on their investment. The money heads at Microsoft are seemingly done waiting, and I have a bad feeling that beyond Tango, Arcane, Roundhouse, and AlphaDog, we're going to see more unnecessary and short-sighted studio closures, cuts, and cancellations from Microsoft. Not long after the news broke on the studio closures, president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, was featured in an interview with Bloomberg talking about the recent business moves. Her lack of answers and general demeanor in the interview, as someone that has been in corporate meetings where cuts were made without any thought put behind them aside from looking at spreadsheets, indicates to me that the heads of Xbox were caught off guard by this move, and people above them are starting to clamp down on control.
One of the things that was most upsetting both to Xbox gamers and to employees is that, one of the shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a ton of awards. Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
One of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like there's no one size fits all to it for us. And so we look at each studio, each game team, and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with sort of making decisions and trade-offs like that. But it all comes back to our long-term commitment to the games we create, the devices we build, the services, and ensuring that we're setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises.
Xbox has been in such a turbulent state for so long, and things finally felt like they were starting to turn a corner for the brand in the last year or so. Lots of exciting new announcements, a very solid looking release lineup, good PR, but these recent studio closures have soured that for many, including myself. People have waited a long time for Xbox to get things going. With the year's slate of releases including Hellblade 2, Avowed, Ara History Untold, Indiana Jones, Call of Duty, and potentially even a new Doom if rumors are to be believed, it would be a real shame for Microsoft to squander all that excitement by axing their studios that aren't heavy-hitting behemoths to only chase guaranteed successes. We've watched for years now as Embracer gobbled up many of the better-known AA studios of the games industry, only to dismantle many of them one by one over the last year because they put all their eggs in a $2 billion deal with Saudi Arabia that fell through. Microsoft has bought up a lot of beloved studios over the last decade. Hopefully they're not going to face the same fate.